foodbabe.com/Subway meat. Folks need to get your latest promo video. They need to send it out on Twitter, Facebook. They need to contact Subway because it seems like every time we take action now, they're caving in. And so many ads I see for fast food now or grocery stores, period, are advertising, we're fresh, we're organic, we're safe. It seems like we're reaching a critical mass moment.
Yeah, you know, finally people, because of the Subway campaign last year that I actually announced here on the day that I launched it to get out azodicarbonamide, the yoga mat chemical out of Subway's bread, finally opened people's eyes up to eating fresh isn't really eating fresh. And now people need to pay attention to the meat because 7.6 million subs are sold every single day by Subway. They are the largest by number of chains of restaurants, even though they're losing money just like McDonald's. I think they lost more money last year than even McDonald's from the reports that I just read. And so this is really a shift in consumer perspective. And there's a whole snowball revolution of changes happening where these corporations are starting to remove artificial food dyes. They're starting to go antibiotic free. They're starting to offer more organic options. But we've got a long way to go. And unfortunately, some of these brands have lost so much of our trust that I don't know if they'll even survive. And really, you know, you see that with McDonald's, you see that with Subway, and there's so many other trust issues happening with Subway as it is. And so we're really at a critical moment here where our voting with our dollars, our petitioning these companies, are making more and more people aware of these issues is really creating a shift in momentum in terms of conventional food that was poorly raised, full of toxins, to now food that is organic and real and whole. And that is really what we need to go back.
And that's creating a whole new economy for us where that food can now be exported. I've been reading how we have to import most of our organic food, and the farming associations aren't even telling farmers, hey, you can be making a lot of money with organics, because there's such a culture controlled by big pharma and by the big industries to not let farmers know this.
Yeah, and you know, you look at Chipotle and they're having to get some of their beef and pork from other countries because we just don't have enough here that's raised humanely, that isn't antibiotic free. And so we're, you know, now outsourcing our food, and we need to go back and take a look at our farmers here and see how we can change their practices from within. And that's how these type of campaigns start to do that. Once huge companies like Subway and others like McDonald's and Chick-fil-A and others who have actually
that scales the whole market. It's like when Walmart carries your product, it's set. I mean, we make them cave in, it's over. We'll be back. Here are the headlines at Infowars.com. Drudge Report has them lined up nicely. Cop hunting. Houston deputy shot 15 times in the back. Suspect in ambush held without bond. Sheriff says Obama started this war on police. Dangerous rhetoric as Black Lives Matter continues to chant pigs in a blanket. Cop hunting is what the suspect reportedly was out doing. And it's all directly out of the whole Black Lives Matter movement. Jakari Jackson and Joe Biggs will host the entire fourth hour today at Infowars.com/show. We're bringing the fourth hour back, so affiliates are welcome to start picking that hour up. And they're going to have a man running for sheriff who's endorsed by Sheriff Arpaio, by Richard Mack, who's a constitutionalist. And he's down there and can give us the inside scoop on what happened and on where he sees the situation going. Vani Hari, the food babe, is with us. I've got a bunch of medical, food news, cannabis news I want to run over with her. Anthony Gucciardi's here, who is our food and health reporter in studio with Vani Hari, the food babe, launching another initiative. Let me ask you this question, food babe. Talk about globalism or all these other things that are being pushed by the establishment. Once the people turn against them, it doesn't matter how much support they put behind it. It's over. To me, I keep saying this really is the model of how to bring down so many other things that are being force-fed from the top down. All these initiatives coming to a head. I mean, sure, Monsanto shot down mandatory labeling in California and other states, but just the process of the public being educated made them go out and make their right decision anyways. So it doesn't matter if they stole those elections, stole those those referendums, which I think they did, the evidence is overwhelming, the battle in the court of public opinion is what is going to end up bringing them down. So how do you expect this to now flesh out? What do you think the next shoe to drop is, and how do you think they're going to strike back?
So I think what's happening right now is you've got an interesting situation. You've got major fast food chains losing money hand over fist every single quarter. You've got the conventional food sector losing money or staying stagnant. The only companies that are continuing to increase in growth are organic and natural. And when they increase in growth or they increase in just consumer demand, what I see happening now is these multi-billion-dollar conglomerates are actually buying up these corporations. We've seen Hormel buy Applegate, which is an organic, sustainable meat brand. We've got General Mills buying Annie's. We've just got Coca-Cola, who's investing in Suja Juices, that is a green juice company. And so really, these major corporations, I don't know if they'll ever be gone in terms of like the big major food corporations, or if they're going to just continue to buy up consumers, and eventually, you know, we're going to end up buying Coca-Cola products or Pepsi products or General Mills products because they're going to buy the entire organic food sector. Right now, if you look at the capital just collectively between Pepsi and Coca-Cola, they could buy all of the organic food system today if they wanted to. So that's pretty scary.
So that's how they're striking back, and we see that with the TPP, the multinational model. They come in, they buy them up, then they change the rules and laws so you can't keep GMO out of your country and you can't label. And so they buy it up, then they change the laws, and no matter how many companies we try to go patronize or support, they just buy those up. So that's how the empire is going to strike back.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what's going to happen. And what we can do as consumers is just shape their products and hold them accountable when they do buy these different organic and natural brands to make sure they don't change. Now, some organic brands have changed dramatically when they've been bought by these bigger corporations. I'll give you an example. Campbell's bought Plum Organics, which is a baby food company, was 100% organic. And now they have non-organic meat products and dairy products in Target. So like people are buying Plum thinking it was organic or healthier than the alternative of Gerber and other things. But now they're watering down their food. And so it's really important for us to always stay on our toes, read ingredient labels, and make sure these companies don't change their ingredients and practices after they've been bought by these major conglomerates.
What are the other big angles you're looking at right now? And then I've got Anthony Gucciardi here with some breaking news to get your take on.
Yeah, the other big angles that I'm looking at right now is false advertising. You know, just this morning I learned of Chipotle being sued in San Francisco because they are under the impression, consumers are under the impression that it's completely GMO free. However, their meat, some of their meat is raised with GMO feed. And then also they're still serving Coca-Cola that's full of GMOs. And so consumers are now contacting lawyers and saying, you know what, it's not all GMO free. This is false advertising. And they're suing even the good guys that are trying to do the right thing. And so I've seen that start to happen, as well as I see what's happening right now within awareness that's happening in terms of understanding what's GMO free and what's not. And there's a lot of different false advertising going on. I'll give you another example is Boar's Head Products. This is a major meat deli provider. You see it in every grocery store across America. They have signs up because they want to jump on this bandwagon of no artificial ingredients. And they have signs up that say no artificial colors. But when you look at some of their meats, they have artificial caramel coloring in it, level 3 and level 4. That's considered a carcinogen by the National Toxicology Program that's tested these compounds within this ammonia-based dye that's widely used in the food industry. And they're adding it to meat to color meat that, you know, loses its color because it's so processed.
So there's a lot of chameleon behavior going on.
Absolutely. People are trying to, you know, ride this wave and say they're natural, say they're artificial free, but they're not quite there yet. And so it's up to us, you know, activists and other consumers who are becoming aware about all these different intricacies to like speak up and make sure people know about it.
Anthony Gucciardi, you've got a bunch of news basically integrated into what she's saying.
I do have a lot of news. And also I want to say there is a lot of deception in labeling. For example, I've pointed out before, someone can call something like an organic line. I could say Anthony's Organics, And that could just be a registered trademark. It doesn't actually mean it's an organic product. So that's another thing. I've seen products called, you know, such and such organics when it's actually not even organic ingredients in it. But I think just eating well and trying to eat organic and trying not to eat total crap, you're already better than 98% of the population. You know, just drinking clean water, real purified water.
Yeah, that's one attack I hear is, oh, none of it's perfect. You can never do it. Just go with everything bad. That used to be my attitude. No, we change it by trying to make our lives better and others' lives better incrementally.
Exactly, because listening to all this, it's super overwhelming for the average person. The average person doesn't even know really what a GMO is or how to know if they're eating GMOs. So when we talk about all these things the corporations are doing, buying up all these organic companies, which is going on, it's almost impossible to catch every little angle, even with these things like the registered trademarks where it says Joe's Organics and it's not even organic. But just buying organic and trying your best to be healthy is key. And I think it is motivational to think about how much you're avoiding. Because look at this study. GMO soy accumulates cancer-causing formaldehyde. This is a new study. In a groundbreaking new study published in the peer-reviewed journal Agricultural Sciences, researchers have found that when soy is genetically engineered, it disrupts the plant's natural ability to control stress and sparks the production of carcinogenic formaldehyde. The new research, led by MIT trained biologists, the researchers discovered that the accumulation of formaldehyde, the known carcinogen, and a dramatic depletion of glutathione, which is essential for your overall production of the liver, an antioxidant necessary for cellular detoxification, is a result of genetic tinkering with soy plants. So they're messing with soy, modifying it. They admit they don't know what's happening. They admit they don't know what's going on. Former EPA scientists are voicing their opposition against this. Everyone is freaking out about this new study, and we're still sitting here eating it. We know it's causing formaldehyde to develop in the accumulation when they mess with the soy, but we're still eating it. That's why, like Alex was saying earlier, we're being forced to import soy from Romania, because organic soy, because people aren't buying the GMOs anymore. The house of cards is crumbling. We are defeating.
Well, that's what's crazy. The only farmers we know, because we're in farming and ranching, family business still, is organics. Real organic, and then you got to get the certifications. And there'll be farmers going out of business because all they know how to do is deal with Monsanto or Archer Daniels Midland. They don't know that the free market is the way for them out, because you'll go to the farmer's market, you'll go to one of these, events where they got the blue ribbon pigs and the rest of it, the fair, and it's all sponsored by Monsanto, and it's only their farmers that are there. So they are using the ignorance of folks to continue this. And America is exceptional in that we are exceptionally unhealthy. We have exceptional amounts of GMO. Vani Hari, I've seen the statistics, but aren't we in the top 2 or 3 worst nations for additives and GMO? Don't we lead the world in a GMO toxic dumping ground?
No, absolutely. And we're one of the only countries that doesn't label GMOs, even though 65 other countries do. Russia, China, India, most of, some countries. I just went to Tanzania and Rwanda. They don't even allow GMOs to be grown there. And they're getting a lot of pressure to be from their neighboring countries to grow it, and from Monsanto. And it's going to those countries that people think like people are starving and people are really worse off without GMOs, going there and actually visiting and seeing how they farm and seeing what they're doing is really inspiring, because not only do they have an amazing biodiversity of so many different crops, not just corn and soy and canola, but like everything under the sun, from cabbage to avocados to carrots and everything being grown there, that they can, they're absolutely have the most rich soil. And if I can't even imagine the
sweet
devastation
potatoes, roses,
that would happen.
Most of the roses you get are from Africa.
I can't even imagine the devastation that would happen if they started this monoculture type crops there that would just degrade the soil time after time and just strip it of all its amazing nutrients. And so it's really inspiring to see some of these countries like fight back and say no to Monsanto. And it's really great that that's happening. But we're like, what's really crazy to me is that we are one of the countries that has the most rights out of any citizens across the globe. And the right that we don't have is the right to know what's in our food.
And they go beyond that, though. They'll ban our right to know what's in our food with the Dark Act, which passed the House and is now going to be voted on next month by the Senate, which says literally mandatory labeling of GMOs will be illegal. And that was pushed by the very representatives that are paid off.
Yeah, that's in case a state does have a referendum and says, no, we're going to label.
Yeah.
The feds are saying, no, you can't.
Which Texas may do. I mean, Vermont already has it, mandatory GMO labeling. So this will be the feds coming in and saying, no, you're not allowed to know if GMOs are in your food, period. And this is likely going to be passed.
And everyone needs to know if their senator votes for that they are complete traitors to American rights.
Well, you know, it's the #1 trend I saw earlier on Facebook of all billions and billions of posts. It's the #1 trend right now. And it makes you wonder, well, gee, how are these people doing this? It's because they're obviously not acting in our best interests. Meanwhile, we have articles like Monsanto kicked out of Greece and Latvia, GM bans sweep throughout Europe. I mean, Europe is done with this. Scotland and Germany recently booted GMOs out of their countries, citing fear of GMO crops contaminating their food supplies and concern over putting their food and beverage industries in jeopardy. Now, Greece and Latvia are telling Monsanto exactly what they can do with their GMO crops. The tide is turning. A tipping point just became evident through new actions of 2 additional European countries who have had enough of the biotech strong arm.
And the Africans used to love the West when they saw the Western medicine men, 60, 70, 80 years ago. But now the African leaders say, we know you're stacking traits in there with your Terminator genetics and others that are going to end our agriculture. And the Africans are reading statements to shareholders from 10 years ago and more from Monsanto admitting the plan is a genetic monopoly. So the Africans understand we get seeds out of what we plant over and over again. You're conquering us with this. We don't want it. And then our media goes, dumb Africans don't want our free food. Well, yeah, because they take the vaccines and get sterilized. They've already experienced how wondrous it all is to be under this. They don't want to be destroyed.
And they also attacked the Argentinians because the Argentinian children would develop these massive tumors being around the Monsanto GMO soy fields and things like that. And they'd always say, oh, they're crazy. They're third world idiots. They don't know what they're talking about. The villagers, they believe in myths. They think their gods are doing it.
Yeah,
Study.
They actually accuse them of mishandling their chemicals, right? Like mishandling their chemicals. Like, first of all, if the chemical is harmless, if you miss it, I mean, it's so ridiculous what they've done to an entire population.
Sure, the truth is it gets in the well water. It gets in the well water.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Anthony, what was that part you're going to finish?
Yeah, so this is a new study. I got a bunch of studies today. It seems like a new one comes out every day. Study, children exposed to GMO soy pesticides suffer serious genetic damage. A 2015 study has shown that children exposed to pesticides used to grow GM soy suffer serious genetic damage. Research for...
Wait a minute, you mean weed killer might not be good for my children?
Yeah, who would have thought, right? Oh, you're crazy. You're insane. The Argentinians are crazy. Researchers from the National University of Rio Cuarto, Cordoba, compared children who lived close to a GM soy field growing area in Argentina to children who lived in another city in Cordoba that was not adjacent to GM soy fields. Genetic damage in the group of exposed children was 44% higher than in the unexposed children. Living less than 500 meters from crops routinely sprayed with glyphosate and other pesticides, they had serious genetic damage.
Amazing. And we're going to be back in the next segment and finish up with these news items. Before we do that, I wanted to have Vani Hari, the food babe, finish up launching our new initiative last week. Already having an effect. Last week, you wrote an article. Drudge picked it up. It had been out for a day. And then they responded about the inhumane killing of the chickens. Another example there. They've gone from an arrogant wall of invincibility, Vani, to now really responding. That is just so exciting. I guess Gandhi's right. First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they attack you, then you win. Vani, in closing in the next few minutes, what else is on your radar and what can we do to get the biggest, as you said, fast food chain out there in the U.S. at least, Subway, to get the antibiotics out of their meat?
Yeah, 23,000 people die every single year in the United States, 700,000 worldwide because of this issue, because of superbugs. We're being exposed to it in our water, in our soil, and in our food. And we really have an obligation as consumers, as humans, to protect antibiotics so that when we want to have them, we want to use them to fight off super or any type of bugs, we should be able to do that. And right now, we're in situations where that's just not possible. 1 million Americans are affected every single year by this issue. My dad personally was affected by this issue, was affected by antibiotic-resistant bacteria.
By the way, when you use that number, you're using their number. I mean, it's a lot higher than that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I am using their number. So who really knows what the real figure is and what they might be hiding from us? But I'll tell you this, I was talking to the former general of the U.S. Army, Wesley Clark, at the Democratic National Convention a few years ago. And he said to me, I said to him, what's the biggest food issue for you? And this is a U.S. Army guy, right? Like,
yeah, smart guy.
You expect some like basic kind of response, but he said it's this issue. He said that if we don't address this, this could wipe out the human race. And that is really the truth.
I agree.
And so we all need to go ask Subway to submit a formal policy, first of all, to open up the discussion so that we can learn about what they're doing, because they're making these very vague statements that, make us cautiously optimistic that they are listening. But we really need to see a formal statement like their competitors.
We need to see a capitulation to life and join the life wing, not the death wing. Food Babe, thank you so much. We'll talk to you again soon. From the water table to our soils to the atmosphere itself, our world is becoming more and more toxic each and every day. But it's not just the air outside that's toxic. Indoor air has been shown to have 2 to 5 times higher concentrations of pollutants than even outdoor air. And most Americans spend 90% of their time inside using toxic chemicals within their homes. There are more than 42 million smokers in the United States. Well over 1,000 types of mold and mildew linked to numerous conditions. And don't forget the fact that 6 million Americans live with pets they're allergic to as well. When I began to research these statistics, it was clear to me it was time to start cleansing my lungs in order to combat the toxic environment that we cannot escape, but that we can fight back against. Made with organic and wild cultivated herbs and manufactured in the USA, the new InfoWars Life Lung Cleanse is here in a convenient spray bottle that can be brought with you throughout any toxic environment. Now available exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
People need to pay attention to the meat, because 7.6 million subs are sold every single day by Subway. They are the largest by number of chains of restaurants, even though they're losing money just like McDonald's. I think they lost more money last year than even McDonald's from the reports that I just read. And so this is really a shift in consumer perspective. And there's a whole like snowball revolution of changes happening. And so we're really at a critical moment here where our voting with our dollars, our petitioning these companies, are making more and more people aware of these issues, is really creating a shift in momentum in terms of conventional food that was poorly raised, full of toxins, to now food that is organic and real and whole. And that is really what we need to go back.
And that's creating a whole new economy for us.
Where these corporations are starting to remove artificial food dyes. They're starting to go antibiotic free. They're starting to offer more organic options. But we've got a long way to go. And unfortunately, some of these brands have lost so much of our trust that I don't know if they'll even survive. And really, you see that with McDonald's, you see that with Subway. And there's so many other trust issues happening with Subway as it is.
Or grocery stores, period, are advertising, we're fresh, we're organic, we're safe. It seems like we're reaching a critical mass moment.
Yeah, finally people, because of the Subway campaign last year that I actually announced here on the day that I launched it, to get out azodicarbonamide, the yoga mat chemical out of Subway's bread, finally opened people's eyes up to eating fresh isn't really eating fresh. And now
foodbabe.com/Subway meat. Folks need to get your latest promo video. They need to send it out on Twitter, Facebook. They need to contact Subway, because it seems like every time we take action now, they're caving in. And so many ads I see for fast food now